one of my favorite people in the entire planet, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Vocal. So, Rebecca is a pastor, a movement builder, a justice maker extraordinaire. She's been at the forefront of LGBTQ justice and really, truly justice of all forms for decades, whether in the pulpit, the classroom, advocacy organization, or the streets. And like, we get used to using those frames, those like add-on clauses. Actually, Rebecca has literally been in all those places all the time. She weaves faith and activism together with courage, brilliance, and an unshakable heart for holy trouble. So now, Rebecca, it's your turn.
Thank you, my friend. Holy Troublemakers is such great language for this gathering. I love all the badassery, the creativity, the edginess it implies. Nancy Krody certainly embodies all of these. And as I thought about Nancy, I found myself returning to her soft, caring heart and her ability to tend a community. These are incredibly important parts of holy troublemaking, too. So let me introduce you with just a few words to the caring, soft-hearted curator of community, who is also my dear friend and a very holy troublemaker, Nancy Krody. As someone who came out in 1989, I am keenly aware that I didn't have to only imagine life as a proud, faithful, badass, queer person. I knew it was possible because there were already at least one generation of people who had dreamed and built that world and made space for me and so many. I think that's why there really isn't anything more important than mentors and elders who see something in us and nurture it through their kindness, honest feedback, deep listening, and their ministries of presence. Nancy Krody has been such a mentor and elder for me. I am because she is. I am because she offered her kindness, honest feedback, deep listening, and her ministry of presence to me in 2003 as I started as national coordinator for the UCC Coalition for LGBT Concerns, which is now the Open and Affirming Coalition. She had been a co-founder of the coalition 30 years before I started. One of the first calls I got was from Nancy, welcoming me and asking how she could support me. And literally, every time since that first call, Nancy's kindness, listening, and honest feedback have been a constant, up to and including this past summer, as we hugged on each other and got to share a table at the ONA dinner during the UCC General Synod. When I asked Nancy what she wanted to make sure I said in this introduction, she did send me some highlights from her lengthy and deeply impressive academic and pastoral ministry life. And I urge you to read her profile in its entirety as a witness to a life of faithfulness, especially amidst too much homophobia and misogyny. But I want to say just another word about Nancy as a curator of community and of generosity. As is true for so many of our elders and peers, Nancy did not experience the love and support of her parents. So one of the most precious parts of being part of the UCC Coalition for LGBT Concerns was the love she received from chosen family. She named in particular Bob and Joyce Stroman, Marguerite and Bill Vocal, my parents, and Eleanor and Oliver Powell. She told me it was Bob and Joyce Stroman who sold Nancy her first home. at the same price they had bought it for 10 years earlier, which is what allowed her to be able to afford it. Nancy lived in that house for nearly 30 years until she sold it to move in with her beloved Pat. Nancy lost Pat 8 years ago, and thanks to the ability to be married and the early generosity of the Stromans, Nancy has been able to fund internships for students in the Temple University program in Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, as well as help 2 friends with student loan repayments and 2 with housing expenses. You see, the power of chosen family is that it has a multiplying effect on love. And Nancy has used her life and ministry to intentionally multiply all the love that came to her. I return thanks to God for Nancy Krody. Indeed, we are, because she is.
Thank you, Rebecca. A lot of us are because of you as well. I am particularly wanting to call out the names that Rebecca just named of the folks who were part of the support network for all of us who were lesbian and gay. It was the straight supporters, parents and friends, who made it easy for us to exist. The United Church of Christ has some of the largest number, I guess, of churches in this country that are open and affirming. But the little corner of Pennsylvania where I live and where I first met Bill Johnson by mail across the continent was not quite so favorable to all that. We're now celebrating, literally just this past week, our 300th anniversary of the first German Reformed communion that was held in Pennsylvania. A lot of those churches go way back. And yet this was also the location where Biblical Witness Fellowship got its start, the group that opposed everything we were trying to support in the UCC. One of our earlier conference ministers was actually openly supportive of the Biblical Witness folks, which made life a little difficult for some of us. But we persisted and we hung on and stood in there, and we managed to get a fair number of our churches, although nowhere near as many as we should have, within the state of Pennsylvania at this point, that are open and affirming now. In 1972, Bill and I met each other by mail. We met each other in person finally at the 1973 General Synod when there were 4 of us who were the UCC Gay Caucus, as we called it then. There have been a number of folks since then, including Rebecca, Jan Griesinger, Loie Powell, others that have been leaders of the coalition, which, as it is now called. In 1975, I joined Malcolm Boyd and John McNeil, at Kirkridge, the first time they had a openly gay weekend. And there have been many, many more since then at that location. But there had to be a first one, and that was it. I have been years and years ago, a speaker for Philadelphia City Council when they were discussing gay issues. I was able to be involved with many of the movements within Protestantism, Catholicism, Judaism, in terms of getting women into positions of ordained leadership. One of the folks in the Post referred to me as Reverend Krody. I am not. I was kicked out of seminary halfway through, 2/3 of the way through, actually, way back when, because I came out in 1964, stupidly or otherwise, but it also got me out of seminary. It was an American Baptist school. I changed my affiliation religiously a few years after that. Got very involved with the UCC from the local church level through the national level, various positions. My own church is both United Church of Christ and Presbyterian Church USA. So I've been to a few Presbyterian meetings where we had some battles, but they're coming around slowly. Um, it's been a long haul, but I am so glad that so many out there have been able to pick up the banner and carry it forward. We were involved very, very deeply with the Philadelphia 11 when the Episcopal priests were ordained here in Philadelphia 51 years ago now. So, and as well with the Roman Catholic women priests movement here and throughout the country. It's been a long ride. It's been many, many years, and I hope to hang around for a few more. But I'm so glad that so many of you are taking up the banner and carrying it forward for us. Thank you so much, all of you.